Welcome back, grade 2. How are you? I hope you're happy and safe. Today we have an inquiry activity. It's a simulation of traveling seeds. The purpose of this activity is to explore two different seeds and how they are dispersed in the environment. You have observed different sizes and shapes of seeds. And now you will explore how the shape and size of a seed can affect how it's dispersed or spread. Before we begin, let's make a prediction. Will a heavy seed go farther if it's carried by a wind or by an animal? What do you think, grade 2? Think about it and write your answer in this space. For me, I think a heavy seed will go farther if it's carried by an animal. Let's see the simulation. You can find the link of this simulation in the description of this video. Here we have two different types of plants. Each plant has seeds with different shapes. What happens when nothing helps the seeds travel? What do you think, grade 2? In this part, we have 7 plants of this one. And here we have also 7. And after a while, when nothing helps the seeds travel, until now we have the same number of these plants. This one and this one. Not much happened. That's right. New plants didn't grow very far away from first plants. So, what will happen if these plants get a little help? We have 2 ways to help. The first one with wind, the second one with animals. And we will see if that affects how well the plants spread. Let's see. We will start with animals. Now there are a lot of rabbits. The seed of this plant is very light. It's a dandelion, but the seed of this plant is heavy and it has a sharp shape, so it can stick to rabbit fur. As you see, now the number of the plants increased more and more. This is for these plants. We start with 7, but now we have 14. We have 14 seedlings. But here, we still have 7. Why do you think that, grade 2? We still have 8. Now here we have 24. Amazing! So, we conclude that animals can help plants to spread. Amazing! But why do you think these rabbits cannot help the other plant to spread? Let's choose another way. Now we have wind rather than animals. Let's see what will happen. Again, we start with 7 for both plants, but now we have 17 seedlings after a while the other plant, we still have 7. So, wind can help this plant to spread, but cannot help this one to spread because it's heavy, while the seeds of this plant is very light. So, wind can help. Now, what did you observe, grade 2? Why do you think the seeds travel differently? Now, let's try again. Below each plant are controls. These let us choose which way to the seeds will travel. To make the wind, we can click the wind button, this one. And to add animals, we can click the animals button, this one. But if we would like to turn them all off, we can click the cancel button. Let's try grade 2. What do you think? Which way is the best to spread the light seeds, the dandelion seeds? What do you think? wind, or animal? Since they are light, so we will choose wind. Let's see the result. And what about this one? Will you choose animals or wind? Since these seeds are heavy, so the best way is to have animals. Now let's see the result. What will be happen after a while? They are spreading more and more. Now we have 12. We start with 7, but now we have 12. And here we start with 7, but now we have 25. They are increasing more and more. More and more. Incredible! Now we have 43 seedlings of this plant and 33 seedlings, and now 35 seedlings of this plant. 54, and they will increase more and more. Try to play the simulation by yourself, and then when you finish, record your data. Fill this table with the number of dandelion and purple plants with the number of dandelion plants that's for the beginning and after using wind and after using animal, the same for purple plant. As you see, we start with 7. So the number of plants for dandelion and purple plant are 7. We have more questions. Question number 5. Which seeds grew more plants when the wind was blowing? What do you think? Think about it and write your answer. For me, I think dandelion seeds blew more in the wind. Question number 6. Did your observation support your prediction? What do you think? Yes or no? The last question, the strong question. How did the structure of the seeds help in their dispersal? What do you think? Grade 2. Think about it and write your answer. For me, I think the dandelion seeds were light, so they floated better in the wind. But the purple plant seeds had little hooks on them, so they stuck to the rabbit's fur. Interesting! Today we have another inquiry activity. Page number 36. It's about flower investigation. The purpose of this activity is to investigate the structure of a flower to learn about parts that aid in pollination. You know the flower is the part of the plant that makes seeds, and you have learned about the structure of seeds and how they function. Now, let's take a look at flowers to investigate their structure and function. But before we begin, let's make a claim. Do flowers have similar parts? What do you think? Think about it and write your answer in this space. For me, I think many flowers have the same parts. The needed materials for this activity: flowers, hand lens, and a paper towel. To apply this activity, place one of the flowers on the paper towel. Gently observe the flower and use the hand lens. Then draw the flower in this box and describe the parts you see. Look at this flower. What do you think? What parts of a flower help with pollination? What do you think in grade 2? We have many parts in the flower. So, what parts of this flower help with pollination? And how do you know that? Think about it and write your answer. For me, I think the long thin parts is the part that help with pollination. This one with yellow color. Let's see question number 6. Does what you learned support your claim? What do you think? Think about it and write your answer. For me, I think yes, because the long, thin parts are where the pollen comes from. Look at this photo. You know that the flower is the plant part that makes seeds. But what's the function of the petals? The petals protect the flower and help attract animals. Look at this bee. This bee tried to eat something from the flower. But when this bee touched the flower, the pollen of this flower will stick to this bee. Just as you see, here it is. This is a pollen. Pollination occurs when the pollen from one plant travels to another plant. Some pollen travel by wind, just as seeds. Most pollen is moved from one plant to another plant with the help of animals, and they are called pollinators. Interesting! So, just as seeds, pollen can travel by wind and by animals. And the animals that help pollen to travel from one plant to another plant, they are called pollinators. Just like this bee, it's an example of pollinators. Bees, butterflies, moths, and even bats are pollinators. Flowers use their colorful colors and wonderful smells to attract pollinators. They are so smart. We have another inquiry activity. Interesting. It's insect pollination. The purpose of this activity is to make a model of an insect feeding on and pollinating model flowers. Amazing! Before we begin, let's make a prediction. What will happen to pollen in your hand after touching one flower and then another? Your fingers in this activity represent a pollinator, just like a bee, butterflies, or even moth. So, what do you think grade 2? What will be happen? Think about it and write your answer. For me, I think the pollen will fall off and pollinate the new flower. The needed materials for this activity are construction paper, scissors, chenille stems, glue, and paper bag flower. To apply this activity, build a model of a colorful flower. Pretend your fingers are bees. Reach into the paper bag flower. Feed on the flower as a bee would. When you have finished feeding, move to a classmate flower. Feed on as many classmates' flowers as time will allow. Wash your hands when you are finished. And then record your data. Draw a picture of your flower. Include labels that explain what happened to your flower as classmates came to feed on it. And then try to answer these questions. Question number 8. What did the powdered sugar represent in this investigation? What do you think? Did you say pollen? If so, you are totally right. Let's see question number 9. Why does a flower need to be pollinated? What do you think? Think about it and write your answer in this space. For me, I think a flower needs to be pollinated so it can make new seeds for a new plant. Question number 10. Did your observations support your prediction? Explain. Try to answer this question by yourself and write your answer in this space. Now let's summarize it. Explain how animals help plants make more plants. What do you think? Think about it and write your answer in this space. For me, I think some animals carry seeds to a new place. Others carry pollen from one flower to another. We have more questions. Interesting. Let's see question number 1, page number 45. Which sentence describes a way that dandelion seeds could be dispersed? Let's read them one by one. A. Wind blows the seeds. What do you think? Is this correct or not? Think about it. B. The seeds stick to an animal's fur. C. Rain falls on the dandelion. D. A child picks the dandelion and carries it to school. E. All of the above. F. None of the above. Think which sentence describes a way that dandelion seeds could be dispersed. A, B, C, D, E, or F. Did you say E? If so, you are totally right to grade 2. All of them are right. A, B, C, and D. Interesting. Question number 2. How does the structure of a flower help a butterfly pollinate it? What do you think? We have talked about this. Think about it and write your answer. When you finish, you can check your answer here. The shape of the flower makes it easy for the pollen to stick on the butterfly. Interesting. It's so smart. That's enough for today, grade 2. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.